Dear students, today we learn about basics of Java. This unit consists of the basic terms related to the Java programming. This unit consists of variables, the rules for constructing variables, operators, data types, command line arguments, etc. First, we see about variables. All of us aware about the concept of variables since from last 2 years you have already learnt what do you mean by the variable. The same concept is in the Java. The variable is an identifier whose value will be changed during the execution of program. Means it takes the different value at different times throughout the execution of program. Remember, you always choose the meaningful name for the variable so that it reflects the meaning. Here I take the some examples, some valid variables and invalid variables. In the first block, see total, item price, average. These are the valid variables because these variable reflects their meaning. Total means the total of something. Item price, the price of item, and the average. In the second block, invalid variables. 2, 3 name, total, strength. If these variables do not reflect their meanings, and therefore these are the invalid variables. Now we see what are the rules to construct the variables. Variable name must begin with either a letter or dollar sign or underscore character. The second rule is important. The variable names in Java are case sensitive. Means if you return the variable sum in a sentence case, that will not be similar to the sum in small case letters as well as sum in the uppercase letters. No blank space is allowed in the variable names. You cannot use the combination of control, alter and shift in between the variables. Means this is the third rule. Third rule, no white space is allowed in variable names. The variable name do not begin with the digit. You cannot use the keywords or the reserved words as a variable names. Means you cannot use do, for, while, int, float, if, else as a variable names because all these are the keywords, reserved words and their meanings are already reserved and therefore you cannot directly use these variables names. No special symbols are allowed except underscore. Means you can use the underscore only. The length of variable should not exceed more than 32 characters. Means in variable name you can use up to 32 characters. Now we see how to declare the variables. The declaration of variable is very similar to the C and C++ language. The one thing is very important that you should remember in your mind is in Java all variables must be declared before they can be used in the program. And the general syntax is data type variable name. Here I take some examples. The first example is int num. This num is a variable and that store the value of integer type. Second example, string name. Name is a variable that can be stored string value. Third, boolean flag. The flag is a variable and that can take the boolean value either true or false. After that we see how to initialize the variables or how to assign the value to the variable. Very simple. You can just use the assignment operator equal to assign the value to the variable. The first example, int num equal to 200 means here I assign the value 200 to the variable num. And similarly, in the second example, I assign the value true to the variable flag. Now we learn about the various data types in Java language. You know, the Java has the rich set of data types as similar in the C and C++ language with little bit difference. Every variable in Java has a data type. So what do you mean by data type? The type of value that a variable can hold is called data type. And remember, the data type always specifies the size and type of values that can be stored into the variable. The data types in Java are categorized into two categories. The first category is primitive and the second one is non-primitive. The primitive is again divided into two categories, Boolean and numeric. If you want to take some decision that depends on particular condition, then you declare the variable of the data type Boolean. In the second category numeric, you have the two different types, character and integral. If you want to store a particular character in Java, then you must use the char, char data type. And what about the integral? The integral data type is again divided into the two different data types, integer and floating point. Integer are divided into the four different data types. This is not available in C and C++ language. In Java, integer divides into the four different data types as byte, short, int and long. According to their storage capacities, these are categorized. In the second category, floating point, there are the two different data types, float and double. All of you are very familiar with these float and double data types. And what about the non-primitive? The non-primitive means the string, array, etc. Generally, the primitive data type means the most fundamental data types. In the next slide, we will see the details of each data type. Integers. You know, integer means the whole numbers. The whole number means the numbers which do not contain the decimal point. That number may be either positive or negative. As we already seen in the last slide, the integer data type is divided into the four sub data types, byte, short, int and long. The one important thing here is if you want to make the integer into the long data type, then you must append the capital L or small l at the end of number. See, in the example 645 capital L or 30567 small l means if the capital L or the small l is appended at the end of number, then the compiler will recognize the particular value is of the long data type. And see in the table the different data types along with their sizes, range and the default value is present. Byte, short, int and long, all these are the types of integer and their storage capacities are 1, 2, 4 and 8. Means exactly double of previous data type. For byte, short, int and long, for each data type there is only the 0 default value. Floating point. In most of the situation, there is a need to use the some fractional part. And in such a situation, we have to use the decimal points or the decimal values. And to store the decimal values, the floating point data types are used. Actually, there are the two floating point types, float and double. The float data type number have a suffix small f. For example, 7.809f. Floating point numbers without suffix f are always treated to be of type double. Means if there is no suffix at the end of value, means this particular value will be treated as a double data type. This table represents the data type along with size, range and default value. For float, it takes the 4 bytes, and for double, it exactly doubles of the float, that is 8 bytes. And along with the range are also given. The default value for both are 0.0f and 0.0d respectively. The next data type is character. If you want to store a character in Java, then you must use the char data type, char. The Java uses Unicode to represent characters. What do you mean by Unicode? The Unicode defines a fully international character set that can represent all of the characters found in all human languages. It is a unification of dozens of character sets such as Latin, Greek, Arabic, Hebrew, Hangul and many more. One more important thing related to the character data type in Java is the storage capacity of character data type is 2 byte, means 16 bits. If you look out in the C and C++ language, it requires only the 8 bits, means only 1 byte. But in Java, the char data type requires the 2 bytes storage capacity. Along with the range and the default value is \u 4 times 0. Next data type is Boolean. In most of the situations or in some situations, you take some decisions according to particular condition during the execution of program, and in that situation you have to use the Boolean data type. It takes the two values true and false. The storage capacity of this type is 1 bit. Why it is only 1 bit? Because the true takes the value 1 and false takes the value 0. And that's why the storage capacity of Boolean data type is 1 bit and the default value is false. Now we see about the casting. What do you mean by casting? The process of converting from one data type to another data type is called as casting. The casting of data types in Java is also known as type casting. There are two types of casting, implicit casting and explicit casting. First, we will see implicit casting. This implicit casting is also known as widening because in implicit casting, the source is smaller than the destination and there is no need to do the casting. Java Virtual Machine JVM will do the required casting. See this figure. The label is widening. If you observe the figure from left to right, just I read byte, short, int, long, float, double. According to their storage capacities, the sizes or the storage capacities of each data type increases from left to right, means the source is smaller than the destination, and that's why it is called as the widening. Here I take one example. I take the two different variables a and b1, a of the type integer and b1 of the type byte. And now I write just a equal to b1. What does it mean? Means the value of b1 will be assigned to the variable a. What is the data type of b1? Byte. And what is the data type of a? Integer. Byte b1, b1 is the source and a is the destination, because we are going to store the value of b1 to the variable a, and that's why b1 is the source and the source is smaller than the destination, because the data type of b1 is byte and storage capacity is only 1 byte, and for integer it is 4 bytes. So it is larger than the byte. If I reverse this statement b1 equal to a, then it causes the error. Why? Because the source is greater than the destination, and that's why it creates the error. It causes particular problem. A equal to b1, it is just look like from the user side, but inside the JVM it looks like a equal to into bracket int b1 for the JVM. Means here just what I do here, just I change the cast of b1 from byte to int. Why? Because the destination's data type is int, and that's why here I change the data type of b1 from byte into the integer, and it automatically does by the JVM, Java Virtual Machine. There is no need to do something for the user explicitly, and that's why it is called as implicit casting. And now we see about the explicit casting. It is exactly reverse of implicit. This is also called as the narrowing. Why it is called as narrowing? Because here the destination is smaller than source, and that's why you need to do the casting forcefully, explicitly. The JVM will not do this kind of casting. JVM only do the implicit casting. So user has to do the explicit casting. See in the figure, if you see from left to right, as I read double, float, long, int, short, byte, according to their storage capacities, the storage capacities are decreases from double, float, long up to the byte, and that's why it is called as the narrowing. What is the syntax of explicit casting? Type variable 1 equal to type into the bracket variable 2. Again here I take the same example, the two variables a and b1 of the type integer and byte, and just I use here byte b1 equal to byte a. So why I used here the explicit casting? Because the data type of a is integer, and I am going to assign the value of a to the variable b, but the data type of b1 is byte, and that's why here I change the cast of a from integer to byte, and this is called as the explicit casting. The JVM cannot make a decision by itself because the bigger data type value is being stored in a smaller data type, and it may create a problem. So today we learn about the variables, how to declare the variables, then what are the rules of constructing variables, various data types provided in the Java language, and what do you mean by casting, and what are the different types of the casting as implicit casting and explicit casting. Thank you.